Bonjour tout le monde, c'est moi Charlotte et aujourd'hui nous allons regarder et étudier trois homophones. Ça veut dire c'est des mots qui se prononcent de la même manière, qui ont la même prononciation. D'accord? On a ce et ce. Il y en a trois. Okay guys, so let's have a look. We've got three homophones. Homophones, that means three words that are pronounced in the same way, that have the same pronunciation, but are not necessarily written in the same way. So, three of them. Ceux, and ceux. In this video, we'll have a look at the grammatical way of referring to each one of these little words, and we'll look at some examples. This video is predominantly for my French club members, so every last Thursday of the month I send a video with a bespoke handout. So here's the one that you're going to get this month. It'll look something like that actually. I might make a few little tweaks to it, but this will go over these three homophones, and it will also send you to some other useful links where you can check your comprehension by doing some exercises online. So if you'd like to join my French club, just get in touch. All the details are below in the video description. Ok, on y va. So, ceux, C-E, C-E. So if we look at the first one, this one here, C-E is pronounced ceux. So this is, I'm looking at one use in particular of this little word, because there are several ways that this word features in French with slightly different kind of grammatical functions. So the one that I'm going to look at is the demonstrative adjective. So the word ceux meaning this or that. Okay, that's the most important thing that you'll take away for this word. It means this or it's a little bit skew, isn't it? This or that. Okay, so let's think of some examples. Ce cadeau est très joli. This present's very nice, very pretty. Ce cadeau, ce garçon, ce chien, ce livre, ce portable, ce stylo, ce gilet. Okay, so all of those words were masculine singular nouns. So the word ce will be found preceding a masculine noun. However, for example, if we have a masculine noun, a singular masculine noun that starts with a vowel or mute H, then we add a T. So ce would become cette. I'll give you some examples on here. Right, let's have a look. So, common nouns. Ce garçon, mais cet homme. Quite important actually. So, ce garçon. Ooh, sorry, trying to avoid the light shining on there. Ce garçon, this, or it could even mean that boy. Think of it as meaning this, okay? Because you can add the suffix la after garçon to mean that boy. So, ce garçon là. Okay, we'll have a little look at that in a minute. Ce garçon là. So if you have the little, if you like, it's not really a suffix there, but it's the addition of la, which means there. Okay, like if we're talking about a place. Ici et là. Here is in somewhere close by, there is in somewhere away, further away. So you could add la after using a demonstrative adjective with any noun, okay? But if we're using ce, it's in front of a noun that's masculine, singular, that starts with a consonant. a consonant, okay? But here we have cet homme. So it would be difficult to pronounce. Ce homme, ce homme, ce homme. So we add a little T in there to make it easier to pronounce. So whenever you see cet with a single T, voila, it just means this. And it's in front of a singular masculine noun. But ce, comme ça, is how you will generally see it if that singular masculine noun starts with a consonant. So, ce chien, ce livre, ce stylo. Another one that starts with that has the T in. Cet ordinateur. Just to show you, there's another one there which has an O at the beginning. It starts with a vowel. So we have cet, but ce and cet, they mean the same thing. It generally means this. Okay? Let's have a look. So you may also see or hear cet. Now that's a little homophone in itself. Cet, that could be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, number 7. Or it could be spelt C-E-T-T-E, in which case it is still a demonstrative adjective. But it would look like this. Cette fille, par exemple. Cette fille. Cette fille me plaît. There's a bit of a problem with this pen. Wiping something off a little board and then writing on top of it doesn't always work if you've used a little bit of water to clean it. Anyway, ce, cet and cet, all the same, they mean this, and ce is in front of a masculine singular noun that starts with a consonant. So that's all written there. This has other functions. So ceux, qui and ce, que. You might find this little word followed by qui or que, and that translates a little bit differently, and I'm not going to give you any examples of that in this video, but I think that probably warrants another video in itself. But you can look up ce qui and ce que if you like. I'll put some little tags under the video in the description so that you can go and do some further study, further research if you like. So ce que and ce qui tend to link relative pronouns, I think we call them. For example, ce que j'aime le plus, c'est la musique française. What I like most is French music. Ce que j'aime le plus. So if you hear ce followed by, you'll also hear it in questions like est-ce que, qu'est-ce que. The little ce appears all over the place, but I just want you to remember that you use it as to mean this in front of a masculine singular noun beginning with a consonant. Okay, we'll look at the other meanings another time. So that's one, ce. The next one is ce spelt S-E, S-E. So this one here you'll see in front of infinitive verbs like, let's have a little think, a reflexive verb, infinitive verb, se laver, se brosser les dents, se brosser les cheveux, se réveiller le matin, on dort comme ça et puis je me réveille, I wake myself up. Se lever, so to get oneself up. So a reflexive verb is a noun that in English would translate as to get oneself up, to help oneself. They don't always translate over in a reflexive way. In English we would say I brush my hair. In French you kind of say I brush myself the hair. Okay, so reflexive verbs, instead of just being like laver, okay, I'll get a little board to write this down. Ici, voilà. Instead of just being like laver, comme ça, which means to wash, okay? Trop de choses ici. to wash, comme ça. To wash oneself would have ceux in front of it. So that's the infinitive verb, to wash oneself. Okay, so if I eventually get that in front of the camera, there's the verb to wash, laver, that's the infinitive verb with an ER, or it might have an RE, or it might have an IR at the end. Here we've got the little ceux pronoun in front of it. It's also called a pronominal verb because it has a pronoun which comes before the verb. To wash oneself. So when you look up the verb to wash, for example, you might find in a dictionary or a glossary se laver. So that just means it's reflexive. Sometimes you might see the little pronoun ceux used in front of either an infinitive verb or like a conjugation. That's when the verb agrees with like a person, like I wash myself, or he or she washes themselves. Elle se lave, il se lave. For example, they wash, he washes himself, she washes herself. You'd need that little se pronoun in front of the conjugated version of the verb. So I'll give you an example. Il se lave. We're just going to stick with that because it's easy. Elle se lave. And then I'm going to give you the third person plural. Il se lave, which funnily enough sounds exactly the same as the singular. Elle se lave. Let's have a look at the differences. The main point is these verbs are reflexive. It just means that they've got a little reflexive pronoun. So il se lave means he himself washes. He washes himself. He's washing. Okay, he's not washing the car, he's washing himself. Elle se lave, elle se lave, she's washing herself. Now these ones here, we've got an S on the end of il, that means, that subject pronoun means they, those guys, or that group of people with a guy present, okay, because it defaults to the masculine if it's a mixed bunch, boys and girls. Il se lave sounds the same, even though it's got this ENT ending over here. It's just a different conjugation of the verb se laver. So you keep the reflexive pronoun as se. Not doing too well, am I, on this monitor tonight? Il se lave. But the ENT tells you that it's talking about they. This is the conjugation of the verb se laver agrees with the third person plural. So we're talking about they as opposed to he or she. Elle se lave. So the context would tell you whether you're saying she or whether you're saying they, that bunch of girls. Okay. Il and elle se lave. So anytime you see se, it could either be, I think I completely forgot to give you the reciprocal example. We'll come back to that. So reflexive pronouns could be found in front of an infinitive verb like se laver. And what is it rubbing off my boards this evening? Qu'est-ce qui se passe? Oh, se passer is a reflexive verb. Se passer. Oh, mince. I'll just show you on here because none of my boards are allowing me to rub out what I've got. So, okay. Se laver, to wash oneself. That's a reflexive verb. That appears in front of the infinitive form instead of just laver on its own, which means to wash something else, you know, to wash a car, to wash the floor. Se laver is talking about oneself. So if you see se in front of a conjugation, say like that, that's in the third person singular conjugation form of that verb. Se tells you that it's talking about he or she or a person. Marc se lave. or Marie se lave. It's the same. If it was Marc et Marie, they're washing, they're over there washing, where are they? They're having a wash. Then the conjugation changes to the third person, but that stays the same. If it was I'm washing myself, having a wash. Je me lave. So me is the reflexive pronoun, which means myself. I'm doing something to myself. Je me parle, for example. I could use it with the verb to speak. Je me parle. That bit there means to myself. Okay, so here it means I, to myself, am talking. Which hopefully I'm not, but it can be used in that way. You can use it sometimes with verbs that don't appear to be reflexive at first, to give it a meaning like that. And then reciprocal verbs, let's see if I've got an example in here. So if something's reciprocal, it means you're, for example, to look is the verb regarder. Je regarde le garçon. Je regarde ce garçon. I'm going to use ce. I'm looking at this boy. Il me regarde. He's looking at me. The me, at or to me bit, can be used as a slightly different pronoun, okay? It's like an object pronoun then, but it looks the same. It can be placed in front of a verb. If I was saying on se regarde, I'll write that down here. On se regarde. Remember, you can use on to mean like we. It's like a way of, instead of saying nous, you can just use the third person on form, which kind of means we, okay? It's used a lot in French. Conjugate it in the third person singular, the same as he or she, and put se in front of the verb, on se regarde. We're looking at each other. Okay, so that's a reciprocal verb because we're both using the same action on each other. I'm looking at him, he's looking at me. So we've got ce, which is a demonstrative adjective, like ce stylo, ce gilet, ce portable, etc. We would say cet for a masculine noun, like this computer, cet homme. This little thing there that dropped off my desk, little protective corner thing. Regarde, comme ça, voilà. They always drop off. So demonstrative adjective ce, a reflexive pronoun that appears in front of an infinitive reflexive verb, but can also be used in the third person singular, he, she, or the on form, followed by a verb conjugated in the third person singular, or you might see it in front of a third person plural. Marc et Marie, so we're talking about they, ils se lavent, ils se réveillent, ils se lèvent, you get up. In English we just say I got up, but in French you say I got myself up, so I literally lifted myself up from the bed. Okay, it's quite nice when you get used to it. They're all over the place in French, so look up reflexive verbs. That's from a different, that's a completely different, it's actually, c'est autre chose ça. That's from an Italian lesson. Voilà. Ce, demonstrative adjective, ce, reflexive pronoun. Now, that leaves ce. C-E-U-X. Okay, so this is a bit more difficult. So, ce, qu'est-ce qui se passe? Okay. Ce, qui s'écrit comme ça, means these or those, right? Let's give you some examples. Okay. think my most recent version of the handout is here on the screen. So you often find ceux in expressions or statements such as this. They translate into English like this. Those who, for example, those who like travelling have a good life. Those who smoke will die younger. Those who speak languages will have a more open mind. If you're making statements like that, those who, meaning those people or people that do something in particular, you'd use ceux, ceux qui. So that it would be those who, ceux qui. I had a nice example I found. What was it? Was it a Victor Hugo quote? I think it was. Okay, so I'll double check that, but I think it's this one. Ceux qui vivent sont ceux qui luttent. Ceux qui vivent sont ceux qui luttent. So those who live are those who fight. Oui, c'est ça. Oui, ceux qui vivent sont ceux qui luttent. So I found a really nice website which I do visit sometimes, and it's called citation-célèbre.leparisien.fr. Ok, voilà, see if you can see it there. Ok, d'accord. Voilà. Ici. Ceux qui vivent sont ceux qui luttent. You see that there? Then you'll see that the verbs that follow ceux, qui, those who do something, they're in the third person plural. So let's give you a little example of that. Ceux qui plus verb in the third person plural. So it's already saying those. It could be those shoes, or if it was on its own without the qui after it, it'd be probably talking about a noun. But if it's followed by qui, then it's probably talking about people. Ceux qui aiment la France. Ceux qui aiment la France. Là, par exemple, on a le verbe aimer au troisième personne pluriel. C'est those who love France. Voyage du plus. Okay, so you'll find it in expressions like that. There was another one. I think it was a, what was it? Was it Coco Chanel? There's a nice one actually, which I think I've put in the, so the handout, the version that will be sent in the email tonight to club members. Ah oui. Okay, so this was a French translation of an Albert Einstein quote using this ceux, meaning those who. Le monde ne sera pas détruit par ceux qui font le mal, mais par ceux qui les regardent sans rien faire. Interesting, for a time when the world is in kind of upheaval. We have a quote, le monde ne sera pas détruit par ceux qui font le mal, mais par ceux qui les regardent sans rien faire. So the world will not be destroyed by those who do bad, but by those who watch without doing anything. People who allow things to happen. So ceux qui font, those who do, in the third person they form, font from the verb faire. Mais par ceux qui les regardent sans rien faire. So if your club members look at the second paragraph under ceux, and you'll see that description with the verbs underlined in the third person. Okay. Finally, let's do a couple of little checks to see whether we understand how this works. So we just need to go back to here. Okay. If I can get down a little bit. Okay, we're going to use this space. Okay, so what we're going to do here is I'm going to write a sentence and you're going to help me choose which ceux, or ceux it is. Okay, so maman, maybe you won't need it, you know, you won't need me to write it, you'll just understand. Maman se lève tôt. Maman se lève tôt. Maman se lève tôt. Maman se lève tôt. Okay, so se lève, se lever. So that's an ER verb. Lever is like lever les mains. Remember that in school? Lever les mains. Put your hands up. Answer the question. Hands up if you know the answer. Lever les mains. Levez-vous. Stand up. Stand yourself up. Or raise yourself up if you like. So remember what I said about getting up. Get yourself up. Maman se lève. So se lever or lever is to get up, to lift yourself up if you like. So this is Mum gets herself up early. She gets up early. That's typical for mothers, isn't it? Because they've got so much to do. So it's the reflexive pronoun here in front of the conjugated third person verb, reflexive verb, to get yourself up. It could be mother washes herself early. Maman se lave tôt, before everyone else gets up. Okay, let's look at another one. Okay, I'm trying to find something short. Ok. Que penses-tu de ce chapeau? Que penses-tu? Que penses-tu? That's like saying qu'est-ce que tu penses? What do you think about? Que penses-tu de ce chapeau? Oh, mon chapeau là. Where is my hat when I need it? I've been wearing a hat all day. Disparu. C'est pas grave. So, what do you think about this hat? This hat. Ce chapeau. It's not ce comme ça, because that is a reflexive pronoun. And it's not ce, C-E-U-X, because that would mean those. Right, like those who ride horses, something. I can never think of the end of the example. So it leaves ce on its own. Que penses-tu de ce chapeau? Right now, let me find another one. Okay, this one's slightly longer. See if I can find a page that hasn't been used. On va juste utiliser là, le tableau soi-même. So let's